Hello fishing friends, this is Matthew with Outfishing 13 bringing you another reel service and repair video. What I want to talk to you about is 5 simple things you can do to take care of your reel before you go fishing. You can either do this before you go fishing in the spring, or you can do it in the fall when you put your fishing gear away. So either way, it's just as important. That way you have a successful season when you're going fishing in the spring and summer and fall, and have a good operation reel, because there's nothing worse than losing a fish because something broke or went wrong on your reel. Let's get started. So today I want to show you these 5 tips on what to do with your reel, on 5 things you should always check before you go fishing in the spring or whenever you go fishing. The first thing you should do is check the line. So I'm going to check the line here. I can see I got issues just pulling my line out, that I have issues with my anti-reverse, and I'll service that. But the line, I take and run it between my fingernail and my pointer finger and just feel for rough spots in the first 3 or 4 feet. And this line is very rough. So the other thing I want to do is to check the line is I want to take the spinner cone cap off and check the spinner cone, check the line. Now right here, I noticed that I got a nasty buried loop in there. These loops will cause problems when you cast because the line will come around and hit that or get tangled with it. You'll cast and all of a sudden your line will stop, like it just hit the end of a line, but because it got tangled up with this. So this is buried really deep down. Sometimes you can take and pull out maybe like 30 or 40 yards of line and get rid of that loop, if the line isn't very old. But this line is old. I have videos on how to change the line on a spin cast reel. It's a good tip to replace your line every year or 2. If you're uncomfortable doing that, go to your tackle shop and they'll put new line on there. A reel like this, like a Zebco 33, 8 to 10 pound test is sufficient, and use a good quality monofilament. Okay, the next thing you should do is you should check the drag. The drag is an important part of having a good fishing reel. People don't lose fish because of bad line all the time. Often they have a bad drag and the fish can't pull out when it's starting to run or when you're pulling in too hard. And if you have a poor drag that's not greased and oiled and it's not functioning properly. So I'm going to check the drag just by pulling on it right here like that. I'm going to loosen it up, see if it's easier to pull. Oh yeah, tighten it up. Okay, I'm also going to check the drag by putting my cap back on and simulating fighting a fish. Okay, so let's put this back on. I gotta tuck that stupid little loop in there. I'm gonna fix that, but okay, the drag is working good, but it's stiff and it kind of pulses, which means it needs to be cleaned. Your drag, when you pull out your drag, should just be smooth. But when I pull out the drag on this, it kind of pulses, which means it probably has no oil on the drag. Every drag washer should have oil on it. That doesn't make it slip, but oil does 2 things. One, it keeps everything lubricated properly so it will come out, but also the oil helps transfer heat from the drag washers to the spool, and that's important because you don't want to heat things up, especially if you have a big catfish on there and he decided he was going to run, or a big trout, You get a big strong fish even with this, and you can catch them as long as you're got a good drag system. Then you're not going to break that line. The next thing you need to do is you need to clean your reel. Take off the parts, like take off the back cap here. Look at it. You can take this and wash it with soapy water and a toothbrush, and then add little bits of oil to where it needs to be oiled. Let it dry out overnight, then oil it. But you can use, like I like to use WD-40. I don't use this for lubrication. I use it for cleaning and often I'll use it like a solvent, and it's very gentle on plastics and things like that. That's why I use WD-40. Take off the front spinner cone, or the front cone. Look how dirty this is. You can just see just how dirty it is. All the dust is built up. This whole thing needs to be washed, you know. It's got some dried up oil and grease on this line brake. Line brake seems to be okay, in okay shape. It's a little bit hard, but doesn't have cracks in it. Take this, you know, look at the inside of the spinner cone. Look at all the dirt in there. This thing could be cleaned up, and something clean always seems to work better for me. So that's the third thing, clean it. Then, after it's dried off and you got dry, you want to oil it. Now, Zebco has a service page on their website, and often they have like an oiling chart, how to oil your Zebco reels. They're all pretty much the same, you know. You want to oil the handles. You want to use a good quality reel oil. Go down to the tackle shop and buy some quality. This is some Lucas oil. I think I bought this on Amazon, but there's other stuff. It's usually $7 or $8 for a small bottle of an ounce, but an ounce will last you for years and years and years. Somebody told me that the new 3-in-1 oil is okay. I tend to stay away from oils like that because they have solvents and detergent in them that's used to loosen up rust, like this PB Blaster. And it's not really an oil per se, it is more of a solvent to loosen things up. But 3-in-1 oil will do it, but just keep in mind that after 4 or 5 years, the 3-in-1 oil can evaporate and leave a sticky residue. So oil your handles. Take the back off. If you have a bearing down here, oil the bearing. You want to oil this shaft. Sometimes there's a little hole right here in this bushing area that you can drop oil and spin the handle and get oil down there to the shaft. If not, you can remove the handle. And you can put a drop of oil down here, just a couple drops like that. And lean it on the side like this and let it sit there for a few minutes, and the oil will penetrate down through there. And then you can turn it and get that shaft well oiled, you know. Right here, you could put some oil on it right here. Just a drop or so. Then kind of let it soak down there and turn it on the side like this. And let the oil go down through there, and then turn the handle and let that oil work down there between the shaft and the bushing. If you have bearings, if you have a reel that's newer than 2002, often they have a bushing on one side and a bearing on the other side of the handle shaft. So make sure those bearings get oiled. And just take a few drops. Just turn it on the side, put a little bit of oil on there, let it soak in, spin the handle, turn on the other side and put some oil on there. You could put some oil right here on the drag gear, on that little shaft right there. Then you want to take and grease it. You want to take some grease, this good quality reel grease, precision reel grease. Just about any kind of good quality bearing grease will work, but this is made to be very sticky. I like to have a little brush. I put it in a little bag. I like to take and get some grease on here and grease just this main big gear right here. Turn it around so you can get all the teeth and grease it. And that will make your reel run much smoother and protect those teeth from getting worn down through abrasion of wearing metal against metal when the grease gets worn off of there. But that's what you want to do. Those are the 5 tips. Remember, check the line, replace if needed, check the drag, service it if needed, clean it with soapy water, clean all the parts you can, then let it dry out, then oil it and grease it, and you're ready to go. Let me know if you have any comments below. If you have any questions, please ask them. But take care of your reels and they'll serve you well when you're fighting that big old fish that you're going to catch next year. Thanks and have a great day. Bye.